friends, let's talk about vampire cult killings and do my nails. So, this one is a little bit of a local story, like the last one was, only, and I'm opening my package, but, so this one happened, maybe like an hour and a half away from where I'm from. And I was like 16 when it happened. It didn't really affect me like the other one did, other than I remember watching it in the news, and I remember it was like a big deal because where I'm from is about like 45 minutes east of Orlando, Florida. And so that's like where our news was from, and where this happened was Eustis, Florida, and it's also close to Orlando, so it was definitely local news. So anyway, our story starts in Murray, Kentucky, and what happened was there were these kids, and they thought they were vampires. They called them a cult, I guess. I didn't really do too much research into this. I just randomly remembered this the other day and thought, hey, I'll talk about that while I do my nails. But before I get started on my nails and before I get too into the story, I'm going to wipe them with an alcohol prep pad, because whether you are using dry nail polish strips or you are doing your nails with regular wet nail polish, you want to get the oils off. So this is a alcohol prep pad that comes in the package that I'm using to do my nails. You can use a cotton ball that has been dipped in alcohol, or you can even use some nail polish removers. Like the one that I like, it says on here that it is a polish remover, nail cleaner, and nail prep. So if you use this and you don't have an alcohol prep pad or a cotton ball with alcohol, then just use the nail polish remover, it's fine. So that's what I'm doing, just getting the oils off of my nails. So anyway, this started in Murray, Kentucky. There was a group of teenagers who were into vampires, and there's this one in particular, Rod Farrell, that believed he was a 500-year-old vampire, because he had played Dungeons and Dragons in the past, and then he started playing the Vampire Masquerade game, which is similar to D&D, I guess. I never played either one. I had a boyfriend in high school that did. He actually played both of them around the same time frame. Let's see, in 1996, I was 16. I believe I was a junior in high school that year. Yeah, so that was the year that he was deployed, most of that year of my junior year. He was older than me and was in the army, and that was when he was in Bosnia. But I digress. So he played Vampire Masquerade. I knew a little bit about it, but not really that much because I never played those games. But anyway, so Rod Farrell in Murray, Kentucky did play those games. And he created this character for himself for the vampire game. And he believed he was his character, a 500-year-old vampire. The name starts with V. I don't remember what it was. So then at some point in his life, around that time frame, not exactly, he and his mom, because he lived with his mom, you know, teenagers live with their parents. He lived with his mom and his grandparents, her parents, in Murray, Kentucky. But then at some point, he and his mom moved to Florida. I think she had gotten married or was in some kind of relationship or something. So they moved to Florida, to Eustis, which, like I said, is close to Orlando. I don't remember exactly where it is, but somewhere in Central Florida. So he met this girl named Heather, and they became pretty close friends. I don't know if they were ever like involved or anything. And then at some point, he and his mom moved back to Murray, Kentucky, and he still communicated and was still friends with Heather in Eustis, Florida. So at some point, Heather told him that she was being abused. And it came out later on in his court case that he had allegedly, and like I said, I didn't do too much looking into this or reading about this, so I'm going to say allegedly because I don't know if it was true, but he had allegedly been abused by his maternal grandfather when he was a small child. I think like 5 or something like that, but anyway, small child. So at some point, Heather allegedly told him that she was being abused and that I guess she wanted to run away or something. I don't know. But what ended up happening is that Rod Farrell, this other boy named Howard Scott Anderson, and 2 girls, Dana Cooper and Charity Kesey, took, I think it was Howard Scott Anderson's car, took his car and went from Kentucky to Florida. And then when they got there, they went to go get Heather. And the girls, including Heather, took the car and went to Heather's boyfriend's house. And so Heather could say goodbye or whatever. While they were gone, Rod Farrell and Howard Scott Anderson were left alone at Heather's house. They broke into Heather's house through the garage, Rod grabbed a crowbar on his way into the house, found Heather's father sleeping, and proceeded to beat him with the crowbar until he was dead. And then Heather's mother had been in the shower at that time, and Rod had said, you know, I just wanted to kill the father. I was going to let the mother live, but then she threw hot coffee on me and it made me mad, so I killed her too. So she was also, I think, beaten to death with the crowbar. And then they were robbed. They took stuff from Heather's house, and then Heather and the girls got back and they got in the car and they decided they were going to go on to New Orleans for whatever reason. I'm not entirely sure. So then after that, you know, they were on their way, they were on the run. Somewhere along the way, well, let me back up a little bit. So after that happened, I don't know how long exactly. I'm going to say a couple hours. It may have been less. But Heather's older sister, she was 17 at the time. She came home from her job that she had, and she had also had her own car. So she came home and found her parents and called the police. And she was like, my parents are dead. My sister's missing. I don't know what happened. So at that point, the police didn't know what was going on. They didn't know if Heather had also been murdered, if Heather had been kidnapped, if Heather had anything to do with it. They didn't know what was going on. So they were looking for Heather. I think Heather's sister told them like who was involved, and somehow they knew who they were looking for. When they had left Heather's, that's Central Florida, so you still have to drive through like North Florida and the whole panhandle to go towards Louisiana. So they had stopped along the way and switched the license plate. So the police thought they were looking for a certain car with a Kentucky license plate. Turned out they switched the plate and then to like a Florida plate, but it didn't take the police very long to find them because they had the help of, I think it was either Charity's mother or grandmother, because along the way, on their way to Louisiana, they're 5 teenagers, the 4 from Kentucky plus Heather, 5 teenagers, don't have a lot of money, also aren't very smart when you commit crimes, so they didn't have a lot of money, and they finally made it to Baton Rouge. It probably took them, I'm gonna guess, a couple of days, at least one, because Louisiana from Central Florida is not a super short drive. So they hadn't eaten, they were hungry, they needed money. So Charity called either her mother or grandmother or somebody and was like, hey, can you help us? We need money. And what happened was they were like, sure, we'll help you. And they really called the police and said, hey, how can we help you? So they set them up with the police, and they were like, go to this local hotel, we'll help you check in. and the police were there waiting for them. So they were all arrested. Eventually they were brought back to Florida. And you know, Rod told the detectives what happened. Like, they pretty much confessed, and he was not super remorseful about it, if I am remembering correctly. So all four of them, the four from Kentucky, were put on trial because the grand jury heard evidence of whatever, but I guess Heather never told them to kill her parents. She had just told Rod, allegedly, that her father was abusive. So I guess they said that Heather never said to kill them. There was no evidence that Heather was involved other than leaving with them. I'm not entirely sure how true any of that is, how much I believe, because I feel like, and I was around the same age as them at the time that this murder happened. Again, it was 1996. I was like 16 and a half, and I had a boyfriend that was into like D&D and vampires and random stuff. I listened to the same kind of music that they listened to. You know, I knew people that did the same things that they did, except nobody ever killed our parents. So I feel like if my boyfriend or a guy friend or someone had come into my house and beat my parents to death with a crowbar, I feel like I probably wouldn't have left with them. I feel like, but you know, that's me, and I don't know where Heather's mind was at the time. I don't know if she had anything to do with it, but the grand jury didn't believe that she did. So Heather was never indicted or charged with anything. The other ones, however, were. So the two girls, Charity Kesey and Dana Cooper, were charged with 2 counts each of third-degree murder. One of them got 10 years, the other one got 17 years. This was in 1996. They have both been released, clearly, because as sad as it makes me, 1996 was quite a long time ago. And the boys, Rod Farrell, he was either 16 or 17 at the time of these murders. He got the death penalty. However, a couple years later, and the trial, like, all of that took until, this was the end of 96 when it happened. Their trials, I think, were in 1998. So he got the death penalty, and then a couple years later, the Supreme Court was like, hey, he was a juvenile at the time of this crime. You can't sentence him to death. Sentence him to life without parole instead. So that's what they did. And then in 2016, the Supreme Court decided, hey, you can't sentence a juvenile to life without parole, like mandatory life without parole. It's cruel and unusual punishment. That's not cool. So Rod Farrell appealed his sentencing, and I don't know exactly when he appealed, but it was last year in 2020, early 2020, where a judge was like, no, brah, you're irreparably corrupt and your life sentence is going to stand. That is not exactly official yet, because you have the right in court to be present in open court, you know, when there's like a judgment or a sentence or something like that. So it's not official because court has been delayed due to COVID-19. So it's not totally official, but it's official. Well, it's like unofficial, I guess, because it's not totally official. The other one, Howard Scott Anderson, he had been sentenced to life from the beginning. He had a sentencing hearing, like, because I guess maybe he appealed too. But the families of Heather's mom and Heather's sister that found them, those people felt like Rod definitely should not get out of prison. Like, he deserved life. Howard Scott Anderson, on the other hand, was resentenced, and he received credit for time served and his release date is sometime in 2032, I believe. So he will be getting out. So that is the vampire cult killings that happened in Eustis, Florida in 1996. If you want to hear more about that, there was like a made-for-TV movie that came out in 1999. There's a show on Oxygen. This case was the first episode of the series. I think it aired like last year. The show is called Deadly Cults. I took notes to make sure I didn't forget anything, so hang on. Let's see. Vampire Clan, girls released, Deadly Cults. Yeah, I think I got it all, which is good timing because my nails are done. 15 minutes. How amazing was that? So, yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.